All right, thank you all for being here. A little different schedule today. No school all week, so backed up practice. So appreciate y'all working with us. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And good win for our guys on Saturday. Really happy for our seniors to experience country roads for their last game. Recap that game versus UCF. A couple team things I thought were important. Won the turnover margin. More importantly, points off turnovers. Won that 7-0. The middle eight was big for us. I thought we closed out the first half, opened the second half strong, 14-0 during that time, and then only two penalties in the game, and one of them by the punter. So you don't see that very often, but only two penalties. Thought we played discipline. Special teams overall, we had a good day. Won the field position battle handedly. I thought Ollie bounced back. He had one punt that wasn't, but the one from our end zone was a bomb. And I thought he really bounced back and hit the ball well. Michael Hayes had a really good day. Kickoffs, he gave us a chance, and kickoffs made a big field goal under in some bad conditions, and then Brinkman continues to perform at a high level. And we had two explosive kickoff returns. We blocked them really well. Preston broke a couple tackles. And then our kickoff coverage, which has been really, really good all year. It was again good. R.J. Harvey had a return there. We were able to get him inside the 20. So that was a good day overall on special teams. Defensively, I thought the fast start was critical. They took the ball. They go 3 and out. Second possession, we create a takeaway. That was the best we've covered. We got beat by a double move, and then on the last drive, we didn't play very well on their last touchdown drive. Last time they had the ball, but other than that, I thought that was the best we've covered people. Wasn't perfect, but I thought that we were better in the game. Thought we tackled well, and then third downs, we got off the field. 3 and 9 in that area. Offensively, I thought we really controlled the game. 38 minutes, we were 12 of 18 into possession downs. Our pass game was not good enough. We got to trigger the ball at quarterback a little better. I thought our receivers did pretty good. We didn't protect as well, and we didn't trigger the ball. Gotten off to a fast start on both halves. I thought that was critical. Scored a touchdown on the turnover, and then too many negative plays overall. I think we had double-digit negative plays, which is not been the case for us most of the year, so that was disappointing. But I was pleased with how we finished the last drive. Took the last 5.5 minutes off the clock, and that was big. When we win, we give awards. So I'll go through that real quick with you. The offensive lineman of the week played his best game of his career. Was Jaquay Hubbard. Really played physical. Excited for him how he finished in this stadium. Our special teams player of the week, or players of the week, had two. Michael Hayes for his kickoff and the big field goal, and then Preston, two explosive kickoff returns, fielded all the punts in not ideal conditions, so that was good. Defensive player of the week, and you're not going to see him a ton on the stat sheet, and a lot of times in this game, the guy that gets credit on the stat sheet isn't always the guy that actually makes the play. Sean Martin made a ton of plays on Saturday, and they had to use two to block him, and he was dominant and really played well, and he's played well for 6 weeks now. Really consistent, and so he's a defensive player of the week. Offensive player of the week was C.J. Donaldson, 99 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. I thought he was extremely physical, got downhill in short yardage. Best he's played, and he got injured there in the second quarter, and so he practiced today, so he's going to be okay. But we gave it some blue collar awards, and these awards go to people that really played well, did some of the dirty work. The first guy special teams in on defense was Ty French. He played extremely well. Wyatt Milam on offense, we ran behind him all night. He did a nice job getting movement at the point of attack. He's played at a high level all year. And so sometimes because he's been so consistent, because he's played so well, I don't always mention him, but he's played at a high level. Hudson Clement played really well. One in man, made 2 huge catches in the game. The last one was a really difficult catch that he made. Defensively, the guys that we honored were Trey Lathan, probably his best game that he's played all year. Bounced back and thought he was really fast, played physical. Anthony Wilson had 10 tackles and was at the point of attack a lot. And then Fatorma Mulba continues to play. I thought how he controlled the center was a big piece of the game. And so those are the guys that we rewarded with our blue collar. The developmental guys, offense was Khalil Wilkins. Excited about him. He's making some real advancements. Jackson Beiser on defense, and then Donovan Grayson on special teams. So those were and then our sideline, our Juice Award went to Chris Henry. So those were the award winners for the week. And with that, kind of move on to Texas Tech. This is one of the best weeks of the year. It's all football all week, no school in session, so our guys are really locked in. Very few people on campus, so a lot of time spent together. Texas Tech, talking about them, they've got a really good football team. Joey does a good job. Tough place to go play, and so long trip. But our guys are excited about making it. Offensively, I think it starts with them. Tempo, they're going to play at a really high tempo. The running back's an elite player. Brooks has been in this league for a long time, been really productive both in the run game and the throw game. Morton, the quarterback, is playing well. He gets the ball out of his hands super fast. He's a threat to run too. And they're talented at tight end and wideout, and they're big. I think the length that they have is really what sticks out. Defensively, they've played well versus us in the past. They played the run well this year. Kind of mix up their fronts, multiple fronts. They'll blitz a lot, especially run blitzing. They'll mix up their coverages, play quite a bit of man. They forced a lot of takeaways, so I think taking care of the ball is going to be huge. And then special teams, they have one of the best kickoff return units in the country. They've done a really nice job with that. Kicker has made multiple 50-plus yard field goals, and so it's going to be a challenge. And with that, I'll take questions.
So with that challenge, obviously they can score a bunch of points. They've done it often. So keys for you guys, start with defense. What's the biggest key in trying to slow them down a little bit?
Well, I think the first thing is we got to get the line to their tempo. That's where they really feast. If they can get their tempo going, that usually happens after a made first or a really positive play on first down. So we've got to do a nice job of getting lined up. I think P and 10, first play, the drives are going to be critical downs for us. And then we've got to be able to contain their run game. If they can be where they're balanced, it's going to be a tough day. And so we've got to be able to limit their run game and minimize their explosive passes. They're going to throw the ball downfield. It's kind of what they do, but we've got to minimize that.
And on the offensive
on offense, it starts number one with taking care of the ball. You can't give up possessions, so that's the number one. Number two, we've got to play our game. Can't really get concerned about what they're doing on offense. We've got to play our game, and for us, it's about first downs. And we've got to continue to move the chains and get first downs, and those first downs will eventually lead to touchdowns. And then on special teams, the field position deal is going to be really important. Like I said, kickoff return wise, they're really good, and so we've got to be able to. They'll return them. They're going to return the ball. So regardless of where Mike kicks it, they're going to return it. So we got to be able to get him down.
You mentioned the coverage being better against UCF being the best for a while. What makes you say that besides just the numbers? I know you dig deep into it, and then why do you have confidence that it also can be quality against Texas Tech?
Well, it's a different animal this week. First of all, so UCF. They were pretty balanced coming in they're one of the better run teams in the country, but they were balanced. They were throwing the ball at a decent clip. But it's a different animal. You're talking about one of the best passing offenses in the country. And so we were better. I thought we matched routes better. We played the down and distance better, as far as playing the chains. Very few balls just caught right in front of us. That's been something that's plagued us this year. And so those are the things. And I thought our underneath coverage with our linebackers and our safeties on some of the catch, throw, quick game stuff was better. We had a couple PBUs, but it's a different challenge this week. The ball gets out of his hand really fast. A lot of stuff that's off their run game, screens, perimeter screens, RPOs. That the ball's out fast, and then they're a huge vertical team. And so it's not just our corners, it's our safeties, it's our spear, our linebackers. It's going to take everybody. But it's a challenge, a whole different challenge.
Anybody back that's been injured this week, or
anybody in particular that you're wanting to know?
Parks, Garnes,
No.
Gray.
No. So let's go right here. So Garnes, no. Burks, no. He's going to be out for the year. Bray is going to be out for the year. Traylon Ray is going to be out for the year. I should have made some notes on anybody else that y'all have questions about.
That just regular season?
Yeah.
You don't know about bowl
No,
games?
everybody I just listed will be out for a bowl game.
Bowl game too,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Their linebacker, number 10, I mean, statistically, he's as good as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he's got crooked numbers all across the board. What does he do well? What do you have to count for?
Well, you can tell he's a really knowledgeable player, John. So you can tell that that he studies. He's around the ball a lot, really physical. They put him at the point of attack, as far as some run blitzes. But he's physical, and he gets there with bad intentions. And you can tell, like, he's somebody that when you watch him play, you respect him because he's reading pullers. He does a really good job of reading hats on O linemen as far as run action pass or run play. And you can tell he likes to play, and he studies.
You were there, obviously, for several years. Why is the DNA of that program so much in the pass game? Can you put your finger on what? Multiple coaches, decades worth?
Yeah.
They've
No,
always thrown the ball.
Yeah, Greg, I think it's a good question. I think it goes back to Mike Leach, and you're talking about 20+ years of really high level offense. I think there's been some really good coaches go through there, and so that's correct. I think this team here is balanced. The Brooks is very unique. He's averaging over 100 yards rushing, plus they getting the ball in the pass game. But I think you're exactly right as far as that is in their DNA, the ability to throw the ball, and it's been that way for 20+ years. There's been a lot of really good coaches and a lot of good players, especially quarterbacks, receivers.
What are some of the things that make Lubbock such a tough away game?
Well, so first of all, the fans, they've done a great job at that stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. The students are into it. They get there early. They're right behind your bench, and it's loud. They've done a really good job of the noise stays in there now. And for us, it's a long trip, But that's what I would say that's, and their home record's been really good, So I think all those things combined.
Brooks, he's caught, 15 passes the last 2 games, wasn't active like that before. Anything, what does that change when all of a sudden he's an extra possibility?
Yeah, so I think going back and just watching, in particular, their last 2 games, the Coach Kidley, their coordinator there, whether it was at Houston Baptist or it's at Texas Tech or in Western Kentucky, all these places he's been, he's done a phenomenal job with vertical passing game. And looking at their last 2 games, you see them doing that maybe more than they were doing it earlier in the game or earlier in the season. So they've gone back to a lot of their vertical concepts, and Brooks is the check down on a lot of those. So when people drop out, I think the quarterback's maturing as well, and he's not forcing balls as much, and he's taking what the defense is giving him. And in the last 2 games, people have really dropped in coverage, and he's been there, and then he makes you pay when that happens.
Improvement in triggering the ball in the passing game. Is that necessarily time to get the ball out, decisions on where to go?
Well, we didn't protect very well, Kevin, in the game, and that really hasn't been an issue. We've protected. Pass protection's been a strength of ours this year, but we just didn't play. We didn't protect, and a couple of them are some run action pass plays that are. And they played their ends. UCF, for whatever reason, played their ends really high, and they got up the field, probably trying to reduce some of the quarterback run game. But they made and their ends played well, and they caught us in a couple pressures, but we didn't protect well. I say all that to say this: we didn't protect very well, and so we've got to do a better job in that. And then there's a few times, especially on a couple of big plays, that Garrett's got to deliver the ball. He kind of scrambled, which I'm careful to take that away from him, but he's got to trigger when it's an opportunity for a big play, especially when it's his first read.
Collins play where he slipped in the field and
we tried to. Yeah, so that was one we had protection issue there. We got beat on our right edge. Yeah, so we got Dom in there, and we'll continue to mix him in. He's come on. He's the fastest guy on our team, and so good catch by you, first of all. And if you watch that play, he can really run. And so we'll continue to use him in some of those roles.
For Hudson Clement to become a elite receiver.
Yeah, well, so he's taken the step of being really consistent, really played at a consistent level probably since the Pitt game. And I say that not just in route running, but in blocking and really just playing good field game, like being a good football player. And so I think as he continues to mature, he's going to get faster, and not just top end fast, but like off his break points. I think that's kind of going to be the next step for him. He's got really good body control. He's got strong hands, consistent hands. He wins versus man coverage because he's got strength. I think the next step for him is going to be just some burst out of his, and he's a relatively young player too. I mean, sophomore. So I think he'll do that. But I do think he is making progress toward being one of the top wideouts in our league. I can see that in his future for sure.
Is it at all difficult, or do you not mind if your players are looking into bowl projections, things like that, maybe differences from 6 wins to 7 wins? Is that something that you care about? You try to ignore?
No, I think 7 looks a lot better than 6. You know, that I think that's for sure. What we've really talked about is kind of putting blinders on. You know, the season's really long. If you think about it, it's kind of like a marathon. Well, you're here at the last leg of the regular season. It's really a sprint. You know, this is a sprint. And we need to be focused on what's at hand, and that's the finish line in the Texas Tech game. And so I think anything after that be premature. You know, I'm happy for our guys; they get to experience the postseason, and some of those projections are fun, but they're not very accurate most of the time. You know, especially the way it works now, where you have all these different tie-ins, and like we've got some Pac-12 tie-ins, and so last year we went to a non-affiliated bowl, so they're fun to look at. They're good reading, but they're really not accurate. And truthfully, our players probably aren't looking at some of those places where they're actually being posted, so that's probably a good thing.
Thanksgiving question.
Yep.
So a little different tact. I don't think I've asked you this before, but
Okay.
your favorite Thanksgiving part as a coach, and then give me a Thanksgiving memory as a kid that you still cherish.
So as a coach, this is always one of my favorite weeks, and for a couple different reasons. This week, regardless of where you're coaching at, some schools take all week off, some take off, from Wednesday on, but it's an opportunity where you get to spend a lot of time with your players, more so than normal, because they have less things going on as far as they don't have classes, so they're in the building a lot more. And we're intentional about doing some meals together. We do a big one on Thursday, but we do one either Tuesday or Wednesday night usually. And we played a road game here the last several years, so that's even more time. So I really enjoyed that part of it. As far as, I think for me, the three things and I actually had this conversation with our team today. Thanksgiving-wise, football's been a part of that for me for almost my entire life. Obviously, you have family, and then you have food. Those are the kind of the things that tie in together with Thanksgiving. For me, I think anytime in high school football you had an opportunity to practice on Thanksgiving, that was big, because in Kentucky that meant you were in the state semifinals. So that's something that always sticks out to me. It's something that is when I was growing up, that was kind of the goal, And so whether it was a school my dad was at, coaching or principal, or as a player in high school, those are things that I always really cherished, and I thought that was important if you were playing during this time of year.
Your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Yeah, so, well, that's a good question. So let me think about this. Well, I'm usually with my mom, and the best thing my mom does is, and it's a unique dish, but it's really good. She does a squash casserole that it's a favorite in our family.
After the last game, you were there singing, they were singing the song, and you were there with your family. What were the emotions you were having?
I was -1, so I had one that my oldest didn't come out. She doesn't. She tries to stay out of the. But 4 of us. No, I was just happy for our seniors, really. I think this has been a long year, and we haven't played as well as home, and so it'd been a while since we'd actually done country roads at home, and that's because we hadn't played as well as a home as we're capable of. So no, not real emotions, more probably. There's some relief when you win too. I mean, in pure honesty, but I think I was more happy for our seniors in the moment. I was kind of laughing at Garrett taking his victory laps, but that was probably more sense than anything.
Question about this game Saturday. They've got a huge disparity first quarter. Is that a function?
They start fast. Yeah, they've done that, and if you look at it, that's been something that probably over the last few head coaches, that's, they've done it. They've continued that with Joey and with Coach Kidley there too. But since Coach McGuire's been there, they've started fast. But even before he was there, that's something they did a good job of. And they're unique offensively. They usually give you something different, whether it's different play concept, pass, run, screen, different motions, just different adjustments. And you can try to practice the tempo they play at, but it's hard. So I think that catches people too. But you're right; they've started really fast.
So I guess it's getting adjusted to the tempo usually throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a factor in it. Yeah, they do, and but that's something that they've done now for several years in a row.
How much does that bring the overall depth of the defense? I mean, you'll probably need to play more guys.
Yeah, they're going to play snaps. I think they're one of the top teams in the country in number of snaps played. And so I think you have to be conscious of that early in the game. And especially D-line wise, we'll need to rotate early in the game, getting more guys in. We've been playing 4 linebackers all year. I think that's probably pretty good. It's safety is where we don't have a ton of depth. And so most of those guys have played almost every snap, since Burks got hurt. So at this point, it is what it is. But the people that are ready to play and that have played a lot of football for us, we'll rotate them in early and try to watch snap counts, especially in the first, second quarter. Bobby, you're going to ask a question?
You saw the scores this weekend.
Yeah.
And, you had BYU and Colorado losing in our conference, and all across the country, ranked teams lost. And it wasn't really that rare an occurrence. What has happened in football? You got any theories on why it's not Ohio State?
Yeah. Well, the teams that have been traditionally really good are still traditionally really good. I think that a couple things. Later in the year, more things like that occur, and I think there's a lot going on around these guys. Decisions on the draft. Decisions on training, decisions on playing in the postseason, decisions on portal or no portal. What do you think their NIL value is? These are all things, and what's happened is it's all creeped earlier and earlier. And these are things that each of the individual players are things that they're having to, deal with, which it's a distraction. And so I think you're seeing a little bit some inconsistent play because of that. And I think, too, there's where the dominant teams used to have all the depth. Now they don't have as much depth. So those guys that were maybe second, third team there are now at other places, and they're really good players. And so I think I think that those schools still have the elite talent, and they have a lot of elite talent, but I think guys that were maybe second or third team have gone to other places, and they're getting reps and they're getting experience, and they're really talented players too. So I think it's just it's spread out a little bit more. And then the travel's a factor too. You look at teams that are traveling, and it wears on you as you go through the year. One game's fine, especially if you have a bye week the next week. But what happens is that's a lot over the course of the year, and I think the guys get tired. And so I think I don't know if any one of those is the exact reason, but I think all of those things are factors, is maybe why there's some differences. Huh?
Has it been good for college football?
I don't know. I try not to like I try not to complain about it. You know, it kind of is what it is. You know, I don't know if it's good or bad, and nor am I to judge. You know, I think it's just kind of the world we live in now. You know, and it's kind of, we've been in upheaval kind of for the last 3 or 4 years, and I think it'll continue for another several years. But I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just that's what we are in the midst of right now, and I don't think it'll change any time in the near future.
To that end, do you have any thoughts on the situation with the Big 12 as a whole? Because there's an argument of Big 12 has more depth, but maybe not an elite team, maybe doesn't deserve the bye in the playoff, things like that. Do you have any?
No, I don't really have any feel, because I don't study the other conferences enough to have a good feel for them. You know, I think we have good depth in our league. I think we're rare in the fact that everybody within the league's competitive. I think there's some really good teams. We've beaten up on ourselves a little bit.
Is that a concern at all?
No, I think for us, I think for the Big 12, we just got to win some games in the playoff. I think that's what, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. But for our big picture, like, we're just trying to get to our 6th. If we can get to our 6th in the league, I can't figure out all those tiebreakers. If you all can, more power to you. But we're mathematically alive, I guess. But that's not something we're talking about. But we just want to we got a chance to finish strong here, and that's kind of what we're locked in on.
Is this the week you can go over on the travel roster?
We can.
Okay, so that'll help a little bit, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then just for the way you all played in the road this year, focused, all that stuff, and good results. You mentioned, like, that environment, last game, there's no school this week. It's earlier start, I guess, technically,
Yeah.
but, like, just confident and curious how they respond, because it's been so well, but this is unique too, it seems.
Yeah. So we got a chance here to finish with a really good Big 12 road record, and our guys have handled it real well. You know, this is a unique trip for a lot of reasons. We're playing 11 a.m. You know, it's an early kick. I think a lot of times in these early kicks, it's the team that's ready to go at kickoff are the ones that have success. We practice in the mornings, so it shouldn't be much different to their body clock. But we've got to have a really good week of preparation. We got to handle the trip well, and then we got to go perform in a unique environment. And so there's I think it's a challenge to go play on the road. Our guys have accepted that challenge, and they got to do it one more time.
9 days away from signing day, so your thoughts as that approaches?
Yeah. So I'll be truthful. Like, I'm kind of, I know when it is, and I spend a bunch of time on the phones and things like that. But I'm trying to live what I preach to our players, which is, man, we're worried about Texas Tech, and there's a bunch of things that are kind of after that, but that's kind of what we're locked in on. I'm aware of it. I talk to them. We had some official visitors last weekend, but the main focus is Saturday at 11.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank y'all.